Hi, I'm Carly. I'm the owner and founder of Just Married Weddings, and I'm just here to talk you through the Notice of Intended Marriage form. So, this link that we've sent to you in your confirmation of booking email is the link to an online form that will populate a printable form for you, which is the form you'll need to print out and take to sign in front of a witness. We'll get to that step next. First of all, I'm just going to step you through the process of making sure you fill out the form correctly. This form is the document that you have to submit to us at least 1 month before your marriage in order to be legally married. There's no getting out of it. This is a must do for anyone who wants to be legally married in Australia, and the rules around it are quite strict. So, Just Married Weddings has to follow the rules, same as any other celebrant in Australia, same as the registry office. No couple can really avoid it. So, as much as we would like to be a little bit more flexible about certain things, we really can't be, and the law's the law. So we're just going to make sure you know all the rules the same as we do, and we can step you through the process to make sure it's all done correctly. Keeping in mind that a lot of people are doing this very close to the deadline, so they don't really have time to make a mistake and then have to fill it out again. So, party one, there's going to be obviously two parties to a marriage. It doesn't matter who's party one. So one of you goes first and completes this information. You choose whether you want to tick bride, groom, or partner. It's entirely up to you how you want to identify. Then your name, first, middle, and last, has to match your ID. So most people, birth certificate or passport, whatever ID it is that you're relying on, this is what has to match. So no, unfortunately, if you don't like your middle name, you can't leave it off. You have to match your middle name on your ID. And same with last name. If you were hoping to change it, or for any reason, if you have a married name from a previous marriage that you go by that's on your ID, you do have to use it unless you've officially changed your surname through the various processes. So whatever is on your current ID, you have to use on this form. You can email us if you are uncertain about that. But for most people, just first, middle, and last name as it appears on your ID. Your gender, male, female, or non-binary, you choose what applies to you there. Doesn't have to match any ID or anything that you have currently for that one. So just choose whichever is applicable to you. Occupation, this one is sometimes catches people out when they'll put an industry like hospitality, a non-actual job. So we need the job. The occupation is waiter, not hospitality. It's banker, not banking, that kind of thing, your actual job. Address, this should match your current postal address, wherever that might be in the world. It doesn't have to be the address that it will be once you're married. You can let your celebrant know on the day if you're moving or have moved since this date, but when you're filling out the form, just use your current address. Conjugal status, this is just whether you've been married before or not. If you've been married before, you either tick divorced or widowed. And never validly married means you've never been legally married before anywhere in the world. Then place of birth, this will either be Australia, in which case the questions below will ask you to put a place of birth and a state. State is fairly obvious, fairly self-explanatory, but in place of birth, this box needs to be the suburb. So, for example, if you were born in Sydney, you probably weren't born in the CBD. You might have been, but you're probably born in St Leonard's or somewhere else, the hospital that you're born in. So, a suburb here, and then the state. If you're born overseas, you will pick the country you were born in, and then you will write the city that you were born in. Don't put province or anything else that complicates things. Just put the name of the city and select the country. Then date of birth, that's fairly self-explanatory. Make sure it matches your ID. Parents' details. So this is a one that catches people out because you're writing the same information twice in some cases. So pick a parent. Parent one can be your parent, your mum, dad, or whoever, just one of the parents. put their first, middle, and last name, and then so that you're putting their current name, and then you're putting their birth name. So a lot of people will have a father who hasn't changed their name, so you'll be putting exactly the same information in current full name and birth name. But if a parent has changed their name at any point in their life, you will be putting their birth name and their full current name in these boxes. Now, these parents are not, they're the parents that are on your birth certificate, which might be your adopted parents. It will often be your birth parents. But any step parents or anything, unless they've adopted you and are on your birth certificate, then they won't be mentioned here. So it does have to match your birth certificate and that sort of trail of paperwork throughout your life that identifies who you are. Unfortunately, whether you are still in contact with them or have a relationship with them or anything like that that can be complicated in families, this is for the purpose of tracing your history and your identity. It doesn't reflect on your current relationship. And then the country of birth of each of your parents you select here. Then be asked to go through the whole thing again for party number two, which is be exactly the same process as we just went through for party number one. The next screen that will come up, step 3 of 3, is are the parties related to each other? This seems like an obvious question. Normally, the answer will be no, parties are not related to each other. Don't tick yes and then say you're engaged or de facto or anything like that. It's only if you're related by blood. So most people will be ticking no, and then you finish up. So once you've clicked send, that sends the document to us in its sort of semi-final state. But the most important thing for you to do then is just to print this down. So you say download your notice of intended marriage, open it, and it will look like this, the official form that we need for all of our couples. So you can have a little look over it again and make sure it all looks okay. You can edit it by hand once you've printed it. That's totally fine. Just initial any edits that you make. But what you need to do then is get it signed in front of a witness. So you both have to sign it. There are some exceptions to that rule, but I'll come to that. Both have to sign it in front of a witness. Now, the witnesses are critical. This is a rule that has to be followed. There's really no getting around it. So in Australia, if you're signing it in Australia, you can sign it in front of a doctor, police officer, a lawyer, or a justice of the peace. Now, those 4 things are usually pretty easy to come by. If you Google justice of the peace near me, there's lots of them. Go to a police station, you can go to a doctor, you can go to a lawyer. Not always easy to go to a lawyer, a doctor. Just make sure it's an actual medical GP or a specialty. And when I say specialty, I mean like a brain surgeon or something, an actual medical specialty. It's really better to stick to a GP because there are a lot of people in the medical industry that aren't qualified to sign this form. So you cannot sign it in front of a pharmacist or a dentist or a chiropractor or a physiotherapist. Any of those, they don't count. So really, if you're looking at signing it in front of a doctor, make sure it's a GP. Or just make it easier for yourself and go to a justice of the peace or a police officer. So what's happening is you are signing it, you are dating it, you are then getting the witness to write their full name, write their qualification, and then sign it. They're signing it to say that they saw you sign. They're witnessing your signature. The witness doesn't have to come to your wedding. You don't have to know them. There's no qualifications around that. They just have to be qualified in one of the professions that I have just listed. So make sure they're writing that, or some of them, Justice of the Peace will have a stamp. They can stamp it, that's fine, as long as this information is all shown on the document. And person 2 does the same. They don't have to come with you and you don't have to do it together. It doesn't have to be the same witness, but it does have to be obviously someone who is qualified. Now, if the person two happens to work very remotely or internationally, they work very complicated shift work, or if there's a reason like that, then we are allowed to accept the form signed by just one person, but we will need that reason from you and it will need to be a genuine reason. So in most cases, both people should be signing it, keeping in mind that you can sign it separately in front of different witnesses if you're not in the same place at the same time. That's fine. Now, the other thing to note is if you're signing it outside of Australia, the qualifications I just spoke about do not apply. If you're signing it in any country other than Australia, the witness needs to be an Australian consulate officer. So you go to the Australian consulate, the Australian embassy in the country you're in, and make an appointment with them, and they'll know how to witness this document. Or you'll go to a public notary or a notary public, like all different things in different countries. They will also be qualified witness document. I do think they charge, depending on the country, a fairly reasonable amount, but they're often easier to get to than the consulate. So they are your options if you're international. You can always check with us first if you're concerned. And then from then on, the rest of the form is not something you have to worry about. The celebrant will complete this section and this section either before the wedding or after the wedding. If you get your form signed, if your witness is a justice of the peace, sometimes they will want to fill this section out, adding some of your birth certificate or passport details into the form. If they do that, that's not the end of the world, but it really is for the celebrant to do. So they'll have to check it again anyway. So that's it. Making sure you follow all the instructions will ensure that this form is done correctly and you can go ahead and get married on your wedding date, which is at least 1 month after the time we receive this form. Any questions, please send us an email at admin@justmarriedweddings.com. Thank you.